So this is Baruch Fleischman, and we're learning here Shar HaEgulim. Let me turn the page here. The Sefer Tiva Chaim, which is on the Sefer written by actually dictated by the Holy Ari to his prime student, Chaim Vital, Rabbi Chaim Vital. So we're going to come over here, and actually I said this year already, and I forgot to record it. So I beg everybody's pardon, but here we come, and we're going to do it. So this is not real long shir. So we were talking previously about the kav, the line. There's a thread or a line of the Ein Sof that enters into the place created by the Ein Sof, who is now called the matzel. The place that is created is an empty place. Like our world is really very difficult to see God. He's hidden in our world. We have to find him. So the original hiddenness is called a tzimtzum. And this tzimtzum can exist as a result of the line of the Ein Sof enters into it. So how does this work? So we're on number test down here, and it says, V'siyam hakav hazeh lamata, ein nogeh gam kein be'or ha'Ein Sof atzmo. So the line comes in, starts at the top, and it goes downwards. But it doesn't go all the way through this hollow, ball-shaped, empty place. Shim lo came yachzar hadavar l'kamosha hoyu, because if that was the case, there would be no end to it. It would go all the way through, and it would connect with the Ein Sof, and everything would be Ein Sof. There would be maybe perhaps a beginning where it entered in, but now how would you know the difference between the beginning and the end? They'd be exactly the same. V'yachzar v'yischaver ha'or hazeh shebetoch ha'chalo, im ha'or Ein Sof yachad geberishona. That's what would happen. It would all come out, there'd be one thing again. So therefore it doesn't go the broad way into this hollow space. But it only goes in one line, dak, which is very, very fine, because the light of the Ein Sof is almost non-existent, but he's giving us, the Rav is giving us here a bird's eye view, no, wrong one, a microscopic view of the beginning of creation. Dak levad kenizker. Kav zecha sheyored betoch or ha'Ein Sof hamakiv es hachalo. So this line, kav, that goes down and goes into the makiv, it goes into the sof, Kav zeh sheyored betoch or ha'Ein Sof hamakiv es hachalo. The light of the Ein Sof completely surrounds, as we said previously, the chalo. So he said, "V'niknas el tocha chalo," but an aspect of it goes into the chalo. Who ain't a yored in mispashav tachtisa chalo, that doesn't actually go into the bottom of the chalo, the mata. Obetzad echer doesn't make a right turn. Minatzedadim. He said, "Lefi sheim or a left turn. Sheim gam sof hakalo hakav yihya davuk l'or ha'ein sof." So then it would also, you'd have the beginning and the end of it would be the Ein Sof, and you're right back to nothing again. Tisbato kol metzias hachalo hareg. So then the empty chalo will no longer be there anymore. V'yashiv hachalo hiyos, and the chalo will come back and will be v'yashiv hachalo lihiyos. Mole bo'or Ein Sof, everything will be full of the light of Ein Sof. There would be no beginning, there would be no end. Kafi shechoyu kodem ha'tzimtzum. V'derech hakav v'zechad nimshach v'yored or ha'Ein Sof ha'ma'atzel. So this light, this line that we're talking about, he says it nimshach v'yored or ha'Ein Sof ha'ma'atzel. So it causes it to go down. Al tocha chalo ha'agul, to this round empty space. Hazeh shuhu ha'ne'etzel. This is now called by the name of the ne'etzel. Now you have a concept of the ma'atzel. The ma'atzel is the force that causes this separation, and the ne'etzel is the separation itself. In a way, it's comparable to male and female. So like one part causes it to happen, and the other one develops it. So here it's being developed inside of this place. And then therefore this idea is the ma'atzel now clings to the ne'etzel yachad v'lo od, together and no more. So let's see what he meant by that. Because the light did not really reach the sides of the hollow, but it goes down, and it goes down in the form of a thin line into the middle of the hollow. Okay, lo nispasha the orbicol hollow eagle, but it doesn't go everywhere in the hollow. So that all of the sides of the eagle will not have any light in them, because the light is only going to be in the middle, like it was originally. It's also called the chut. It's called the thread. The chut or Ein Sof, it's a thread of the light of the Ein Sof. He said, "Hu hamamutza," it becomes like an interface. Asher mamshech min ma'atzel, that this light itself, which is the light of the ma'atzel, is really the light of the Ein Sof. Shemeir saviv l'chalul harek, which is shining on the outside of this empty space. Mashpia el hanetzel, and it brings shefa into that creation. That netzel means the object of the shefa. In other words, like it's like a kli. So and what is that kli? That kli is this empty space. Who gam came or Ein Sof, and even though we say it like this, the light of the Ein Sof is also this kav is also the light of the Ein Sof, and it's not just an interface. But now it's going to continue moving into the space. It's going to go all the way into the space. So therefore, since it's moving, and it's moving away from its entry into the hollow, so therefore everything about it is not going to be exactly the same. But now it's like an interface between the ma'atzel and those things which are going to be created in this little hollow. I say little because it's just a dot. Shuhu darga b'chusa, it's the lowest possible level. Min ha'ma'atzel atzmo ha'me'ira makif savi l'chalal. So it goes all the way down to the bottom, and then it's going to be this light. But it's going to be its own entity, a line. V'afal pi shakol atzilus hu agol. Now we said that all of atzilus, and he drops a word in here called atzilus. Atzilus means that area, or that it's a name of a place. This is a creation of a place. The place of the place is now called. There are no places in the Ein Sof, and so now we have one though, and it's called Atzilus Hu Agol. So everything in this Atzilus is going to be bullshit. Or Ein Sof Makifa B'Shava B'Katzadadav, and the lights of the Ein Sof will surround it on all of its sides. Im Kol Zecha B'Osach HaMakom, so that with all of this, that place, Shenisha Davok V'Nimshach B'Mena Rosh HaKav, so that place which is clinging, and that entry point, V'Nimshach B'Mena Rosh HaKav, and that's where is pouring, is streaming through that place, the beginning of the Kav. Sham Nikra Rosh HaChatzilav Elyono. This is called the top part, the high part of Atzilus. Again, this place which is now called near. It's not the Ein Sof, it's near it, next to it, right next to it. But as it starts moving downwards, it's got it's a line. It's going into further and further into the hollow. Nikra Tachtonius Atzilus. It's called the Tachtonius of the Atzilus. So we have now the Rosh of Atzilus, and we have the bottom of Atzilus. Vayidei Kain, and in this way, Nimsa Sheyesh Bechinas Malo Mata Atzilus. This is the creation of the concept of up and down. B'Shim Lo Kain, because if you didn't have an up and down, Lo Choyse Bechinas Malo Mata V'Rosh V'Rogan B'Atzilus. So then, let's just go over these words again. There would be nothing on the top. There would be no concept of top. There would be the concept of top, no concept of rosh. There would be no concept of legs, which we're going to see later on what he's wants to tell us in Atzilus. The Chora Kasha. So he said there's a problem over here, though. What's that? He said the Kaven Shahor Ein Sof, because since the light of the Ein Sof, a Makif Meir Toch Hachalo Agol, so it's surrounding. The light of the Ein Sof is surrounding the Agol, but it's shining into it. Im kain, if that's the case, eich shaykh lichnos b'hu rosh v'sof. How could you call it rosh and sof? V'halo, because he explains. Halo, hachalo shebasocho, that we're beginning to bring this line into this chalo. Nim soim kol lomos, and that solemn. There you find all the lomos, which come one after another, and that solemn means those things that are near, that are created from this nearness. In other words, it's the object, or it's the kli. The hiyosa shava mikotza dadav. It's completely and totally round all around. So then, how does it get in? So he wants to say, I think he wants to say, is that there is no beginning and end in a ball. A ball doesn't have an beginning and an end. But the thought is like this: it's since the kav is now causing this. It's this line quality which is causing the ball to now have a top. El tocha chalo, it goes into this ball. Sham huba b'chinas harosh. That's going to be called now the beginning. That's the rosh. The ha'indish rosh hakav hu ha'or ha'gavoa v'chanaela biyosas. This is the highest, most elevated part of the light. Why? Because it's mamish davok to the light of the Ein Sof. Hu davok l'or ha'Ein Sof shemachutz l'chala, which is on top of this, outside of this chala. There's a boundary there, but it's right next to the boundary. And as the boundary has some kind of, there's a piercing of the boundary, and this light comes in. That place where it happens is going to be the top. So as it starts going down into the place where it's going to stop, Kain mismayat oro, the light gets smaller. Why? Because it's further away from the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, even though this is a light, which is the light of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, but its ability to shine into the deeper parts of the hollow diminishes because of the nature of the hollow. And so all the aspects which are going to receive this shefa, this light, Hayotzim betoch rosh hachala, which is coming out from the top of the chala, shehu or godol ma'od, which is a tremendously powerful light. He nikras rosh. Well, I'm going to call it now. You have a rosh, the fish is sham kuha or hayosa godol, because this is where you're going to find the greater amount of light. Shebakol alama shenatzolba and natzola b'chol hachala, from all the lights that came out from the midst of this chala. So he says all of the bechina, which is received from the shefa that comes out from the end of the kav, he nikras sof, that's called the sof. The fisha shama or mamoed. Why? What makes it a sof? Because that's where the light is already dimmer, because of the thickness, I think, of the darkness of the hollow. Because of this light that goes inside of the middle of the hollow, this chava chilukim bedreged b'hollow. So you're going to see later that there are different levels in the hollow. El rosh hakav, depending on how close or how far these different aspects are to the beginning of the kav. Or Ein Sof, which is tied onto the light of the Ein Sof. Ad kan bir harav inyan chut Ein Sof. So now the Rab is explaining here and explaining the inyan of this chut of the Ein Sof. Kafi shuhu niknas the socha chalo, as it goes into the chalo b'derek yosher, it goes in a straight line. But surah kav shemilamata lamata, and it's a kav that's going from the top to the bottom. That this kav mispashet gam bebechinas igulim, but because it's in a ball, as it starts, the line is a line, but it's inside of a ball, so therefore it's going to resume gam bebechinas igulim. It's going to have to be ball shaped too. Kafishin is bar be'etz chaim. It's employed in shar rishon on the base. Shehem zeh toch zeh. You're going to have balls inside of balls. Just like the peels of an onion, which surround each other. So this is what you have, one ball inside of the next. And even we see that there is one line, which is a straight line. Derek Yosher, and it goes straight. Melamala admata. V'chein al zera b'derek omdim kol ha'netzalin she'hen olamos of the sphira. So then everything which is going to be created is going to come out of this. And when we say netzalim, it means one thing next to the next. So as first you have an entity and a place for that entity, which he's going to call by the name, let's say, Keser, Chochma, Bina, like that. But you can also see that they have boundaries. And on the other side, and that's a Madrega, and there's going to be another Madrega on the other side of it. Shehem olamos v'asfiros, ba'ofen shach Madrega chayosach al-yoina, the very top Madrega, hiya eagle ha'kitzoni, which would be the most outside eagle. Ve'elach ha'madrega tachtoina, he eagle ha'penimi, will be the eagle that's on the inside. So as you go in concentric circles, let's take a little look real quickly over here at this drawing. And this drawing is designed to give us an idea of the line going down. And each one of these, you have to follow it around. You have Chesed, Chochmah, Bina, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, etc., and so on and so forth. When you get to the Malchus one, the most on the inside is going to be the most inside ball. Now, there are two different kinds of aspects here. One is a line, and the truth is that, as we said before, that the Rav only, that is the Uri, only really deals with the line. He doesn't deal with the balls. The balls are really an aspect of what we call Jewish astrology, because we're on a ball-shaped earth. Everything in this earth really revolves around wheels and balls, circles. It's feminine, just like women have cycles, they have a menstrual cycle, and so on and so forth. So we have cycles within cycles, within cycles, within cycles. That's our world. So that we see that there. Now later the Rav is going to want to talk about the line. And we'll get to that. So let's go back to where we were. And let's see number Yud Bet. I think that's where we're at. And we're going to read just across the top, because that's all we did today in this year. Read across the top, and we'll read a couple that we had Yud Beis, and I think there's I think we did Yud Beis. I'm not sure. Not sure what we did. Maybe there's more here. Let's see. Give me 1 second to just recapitulate. Okay, so we're going to read across the top, and these are the words of the Holy Uri by himself, without the typical Chaim. He says, Hine. He says, Ha'or chazer mispasha b'sel ha'chalo chazer, that spreads into this chalo, nechloch l'shtei bechinos, it gets divided into two different aspects. Ha'achas hi ki hine kol ha'or shebetoch zeh ha'chalo, all of the lights that are in this chalo, u'mukro sheyeh bebechinos zigulim ele betoch elu. It has to be like that. B'hamashal, so what is this similar to? What is this similar to? B'zeh, or spheres hakeser. Let's take the or sphere. Let's say first the top sphere, which is the crown. Hu igul echad. So there's one ball. V'sochu igul acher v'hu spheres hachochma. Then it has another eagle inside of it. V'chein al derek zeh ad tishlum eser igulim, until you have 10 igulim from keser down to malchus. Eser spheres derich, and it's called the 10 spheres of Eric Anpin. And that's another word for keser, but keser is a little more complicated than that, but that's one of the words for keser. After this, besocho eser gulim acherim. There's going to be another 10 gulim, egulim. Vehem eser spheres to Abba. There's 10 spheres of Abba. Ela betoch ela, one inside the next. Igul besoch igul. There's going to be a ball inside of a ball. Atzim kol prate Atzilus, until you get to the end of all of the details of Atzilus, the parts of Atzilus. They'll call Igul Me'elo. Now let's take one of the Igulim. Yesh or Makif. You have to look at it. The Igul is not just one light that's ball-shaped. Elo, it's really, has one Makif. So it says Yesh lo or Makif. Alav agul gam kem kamosa, which is also round, just like it. V'nimsa sheyesh or panimi or makif. So it comes out that there's an inside light and a surrounding light. V'kula bechinas agulim, and they're all the aspect of agulim. Now here we are on number Yud Dalet. I'm not sure if I didn't skip number Yud Gimel altogether. I think I did, but maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Let's look at number Yud Gimel. Let's see if I messed this up and I skipped it in the regular shear. So he says, Hine yesh levar behektem ki yeshnam chamisha partzufim klalim. So this is really where I have to start the next time. I skipped it. It was going too fast. Start here. Okay, so he said, Yesh levar hektem behektem ki yeshnam chamisha partzufim klalim shehem erik anpen, which is called Keser, Abba, which is called Chochma, Ima, which is called Bina, and Zer Anpen, which is called Chesed Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. Nuk, the Zer Anpen, which is called Malchus. B'kol HaPartzufim Chaladucha Rumozecha B'Shem Havaya. So you can actually touch these on to the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now let me see if I can get this a little bit better so that I can keep going. So he says all of these can be attached to the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. Let me find my way. B'Shem Havaya. B'ofen shekutza sher Yud. So let's look at the Yud of it. Who remez the Arich. V'oz Yud atzmo remembers the Abba. V'oz Hey Rishonim remembers the Ima. V'oz Vav, you know how he spells it. Meremez the Zer Anpen shuhu haben, which is the son. V'oz Hey, that's Achrona. Meremezes Lanuk is really a remez to the female aspect of Zer Anpen. We'll get an understanding later of why he's saying that, right? That line, which is also called Malchus. The Zer Anpen b'shihi the bas, she's the daughter. So there's a son and a daughter that are born out. We'll see that later. We call parts of Me'edach HaHamisha Partzufim kolum as a spheros. So each one of these Partzufim has 10 spheros. Bal Shem Zecha B'chem Nekroim B'Shem Partzuf, and for this reason they're called by the name Partzuf. Ki Eses Spheros Mahavin Shir Kumu Partzuf Shalom. So there's a concept here. We're talking about a Partzuf. It's a new word. Partzuf really means a face, but actually what comes to tell us over here is it's actually a system for the movement of light. And that system requires 10 spheros. So for a complete Partzuf, it has 10 spheros. Vovish Partzuf Erich, which is Keser, Yesh B'cha B'sari Hagulim Ela B'toch Elo. It has 10 Igulim, one inside the next. Shehem Keser, Chochma Bina, Chesed Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. The Malchus, that's the 10, that's the name of the 10. Became parts of Abba. So then the next, which is Chochma, Yesh B'cha B'sari Hagulim Ela B'toch Elo. Became parts of Ima, Yesh B'cha B'sari Hagulim Elu B'soch Elu. Became parts of that Ima is Bina. V'af parts of Zer Anpen, which has 6 parts, Mischalak L'Sar Hagulim, it's also divided into 10. V'af al pi shechazar yotze ben shesh spheros bilvad. It comes out only as 10 spheros. As 6 spheros, I'm sorry. It only has 6 spheros. Everything else has 10. B'chein benuk yesh es spheros zecha b'toch zeh. Af al pi shelo yotze ela nekuda achas. Even when it comes out only as 1 dot, 1 point. Now it's going into the hollow. So we see that it was spread into them, the igulim, one inside the next. So the spread of this into the hollow tzimtzum, who beofen shetachidach and his pashtos ora eser iguli parts of the rekanpin. So the first thing that happens is that there is going to be 10 different spheros into the parts of which is going to be called Keser, Eric Anpin he calls it. He says is going to have 10 different parts to it. The height of Keser, the Ariach Malchus Shalom. So let's say like this: Ariach is Keser, but Keser has 10 partsufim, 10 spheros inside of its parts. So there's going to be a Keser of Keser, a Chochma the Keser, a V'toch al Malchus Shalom Mispashet Achar Kach Chut or Ein Sof Lamata Misham. So it goes down through the bottom of it. The Naasa Ese Yigul the Abba, and then it continues to be ball shaped, but it's further away from the source of the light, which is at the Keser, and so it's going to be inside of that light that we saw in that drawing. Mikeser the Abba Chad Malchus Shalom. V'chein Yardav and Ispashta B'socha Malchus Shal Abba Asari Igulim the Ima. We saw 10 Igulim of Ima. V'tocha Malchus the Ima Nispashta Asari Igulim the Zah. V'tocha Malchus the Zah Nispashta Asari Igulim the Nuk. Ad Shenishnu B'chamisha Igulim HaKololim B'chamesh Partzufim. Now there are 5 Partzufim. but the 5, each one of them has a 10 within it. Asher b'kol partzav kolo eser spheres pratios, that each partzav has always 10 spheres in it. V'hidach eser spheres darich, heim ragulim achitzonim, they're the most outside igulim. B'yoser shebezecha chalo. And then over here, Be'etz Chaim, Shar Allah Perik Beis, he says, Kosav Sheyesh Gam Asara Iguli Atik. There are also 10 Igulim for Atik. V'cheim HaKrovim, there's another concept of Keser, which is called Atik, and the Rav drops names in here. You don't know much about Atik, and there's a lot to know about Atik, but you don't know much except that now you know there's such a partzuf, which is, if it's inside of the crown or outside of the crown, in other words, it's closer, even closer to the Ein Sof than Erik Anpin. And for this reason, it has a ma'ala which is greater than all of the rest of the spheres. That's in Shar Ragulim v'Yosher on a bet. Ki Keser Gadol, so he says what? Keser, Gadol b'kmos min ha'chochma. Its quality, the quality of the light that's in it, in regards to the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, is much higher than chochma. Kemin shaha igul de Keser Gadol b'chakifo me'iguli ha'chochma. It's a bigger ball. It's a bigger ball, and the chochma has to be inside of it. V'od shaharech ha'ma'atzel meir shefa or Ein Sof. So there comes to the ma'atzels now is going to shine a shefa that comes to the light of the Ein Sof, misavid l'chalo, that goes around the chalo, ha'agol, hazeh, v'kli ha'keser shuhu ha'kli ha'chitzon b'yos, and the kli ha'keser, which is the most outside one, hu makabel dechidach of his or ha'makif. So it's the first one that gets the light of the surrounding light. Rak la'achar mekan the chochma mekabelis es ha'ors, and after that only the chochma receives the light. Not only this, but rather the keser is clinging to the head, the very beginning of that chut, when it first comes in Ein Sof. In other words, it's tied to it, so they're tied together. So the beginning of the light entering the hollow, ball shapes. It goes in the shape of a ball. When Makabel Shefa Yoser El Yonan receives as a result of that a higher level of Shefa Mina Chochma, from Chochma. Now I also went through this part, and I think I might have just read this, so I did also number Yud Daled and number Tes Vav, and we'll do that. That'll be this year today. So the Achar Shenishlevel this Agel Eser Igulim, the parts of a Rich, which is Keser. Yordan the Mispashta Betzoch Achalo Eser Igulim Shehem Eser spheres, the parts of Abba Hanikra Chochma. Ve'ilach ha'aretz Igulim Eim Toch Eser Azara Igulim the Arich, which is the Keser Shemaki V'Zachazava, which surrounds it, and it has a border between them, and that makes it a netzel. Now it's next to the previous netzel. So these are all the netzalim he's talking about. He says like this, and this we finish up with this one. Called Igul min Ragulim, Shatog Zeha Chalo, Yeshlu Papratuso Igul Nosef Asher Maki V'Zacha Mekatzadadav, that comes around it from all of its different sides. Shahare call or Yesh Bo Bechinas or Penimi or Maki. We said that before. Benimsa the Fi Zecha Shachasara Igulim Heim Einam Asara Igulim Bilbad. They're not just 10 Igulim, but rather each egel Ela Heim Esrim Igulim. Ba'ofen Shachasara Mechem Penimim. In every eagle, you're going to have another set of balls of light that are on the inside of it. V'sar Mechem Makifim, there's another 10 that are going to surround it. Ve'elu HaMakifim Heim Gam Keim Megulim, the Makifim are also bullshit. Shemekevin Shachor Penimi Hu Agol, so since the interior light is round, Mamela Gam Or HaMakifa Na'asa Gam Hu B'tzuras Eagle, so everything that goes into it is going to ball up. V'nimsa Sheyesh Eagle Lanikra Or Penimi the Erek of the Arek Umasavid Lo Omed and Misavid Lo, and surrounding it Omed Eagle Lanikra or Makif Tarich. So there's an Or Penimi of a Rich and an Or Makif Tarich. A Masocho, and inside of that Yesh leish kli abba. Then you're going to get to a new. There's going to be a boundary there at the end of that. And of the 10 spheros that are inside, and in the of the 10 spheros that are going to be on the outside, the makifim, they're going to be boundaries. V'sochem yesh kli the abba masaviv lo sheyesh makif the abba. There's a makif for abba. V'chein al zera derek. Abba is, as we said before, is chochma. V'chein al zera derek. We call the sephiros kulam the same way in all the sephiros. He calls sephira v'sephira. We call prat to prat. Yesh lo penim makif. The yesh bezecha b'richus devarim, as it says it's CHAIM. We see over there in Shari Gulim, V'yosher Anaf Gimel Perek Dalet. So that's the shir for today, and thank you for listening.